to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Dave, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's jump straight into it. What pulled you into the fantastic world of culture change and CEO advising? What got you here?
Well, I think I'm going to have to operate on that question first because I wasn't pulled, I was more pushed into it, which was really interesting. I'd say I've been fortunate in two ways in my life. One, I've had people that have seen things in me before I see them, and they've encouraged me to explore things. And that's actually what kind of pushed me into this. I had a friend in human resources of a power company say, I think you should be a consultant. And I looked at him in amazement because I've been in companies that hired consultants, and I said, that's ridiculous. I've never done it. I don't know how to do it. And besides, the consultants I've seen have been worthless and overpaid in terms of what they gave to us. So it was, I had a kind of an opinion, if you would. But when people do this to me and are friends of mine, I kind of trust they're seeing something. So what I did is I leaned into it. I started to investigate. I started to talk to people. And I ended up meeting a man. I was actually taking a program to become a better leader, if you would, in a larger organization. And it was a master's program, and we were in the same group. And I found out he was a wizard at consulting, at doing change in organizations and making things happen. And when he set me up to see what he did, I was just so excited. Now I was pulled in. Now I was hooked. So that's how it happened. But also, I want to take the question apart a little bit in terms of culture change, because a lot of people think of that in certain ways, like there are ideal cultures. I look at culture change as what are the habits of groups of people and how they actually execute what they're there to do. And the funny thing is that nobody plans those habits. They just happen. They evolve out of time. We start small and we grow big and we get all these habits, and then we go, how did this happen? So what was kind of fun for me is how do we make those more effective? And that's how I got into it. When I saw this, I literally picked up and moved my entire household to where this person was so that I could learn how to do this.
Consultants overcharge and underdeliver? That's new to me.
Would you say that again?
I said some consultants overcharge and underdeliver. That's
it's a new concept, right?
Yeah. Interesting business model. So tell us a bit more about what you do now, in the sense of what is the number one problem that you help solve?
I think the big problem people are facing right now, and this is funny because I probably said this for decades, is the speed of change, because it keeps getting bigger and faster. Technology, certainly, but we've seen world changes, COVID, economies, politics that have had direct effect on businesses, and they need to pivot, and they need to pivot fast, and they can't do it by making small little adjustments to what they're doing. They really have to do something completely different. So how do you it's not so much how do you pivot in your own head, it's how do you get a group of people to do that effectively together and actually come up with a new way of working and new expectations quickly, without creating fear in the process. So I think that's the challenge out there, is how do we do that? How do we give people a sense of hope in all of that? And how do we engage them in a way that takes now we've got people that have been in business for decades and decades with people that are just entering it, and they've got all different kinds of expectations and needs. So as a leader, as an organization, how do you actually blend those together so that you're there to deliver on your purpose to your customers? And then when something changes, how do you change quickly as a group? That's the challenge. And how do you build a culture, or how do you build a set of habits that actually allow you to do that? That's where I see the big challenge today.
What's the what's the outcome of this? Like, what's the end results that people are after when they try to solve for this problem of adopting change faster, smoother, having a culture of innovation, making sure we can adopt the latest technologies, the latest behaviors, especially with what's happening nowadays? Like, what's the goal?
Well, that's a question that I would answer with it depends, because different groups are, look at this differently. But if you're looking at a group that really has a mission to deliver, in other words, they have something they want to deliver to a group of people or individuals or whatever, they're really focused. The end result is, how do we do that effectively in this changing environment? And I think in a bigger sense is, how do we both take care of three components? One, our clients that we're serving. Secondly, our people that are serving them. How do we care for them in the process? And thirdly, how do we care for the organization? Because if those three things aren't balanced, if those three things aren't handled, you go out of business. If you're handling your clients and your people, but you're not on a solid footing financially and growth-wise with your business, you go out of business. If you handle the finances well and you don't pay attention to the people, you're not going to deliver to your clients and you go out of business. So it's all three of those have to be considered. And to really be effective, it's about, how do you engage people in your organization in thinking on those three levels, not just of themselves, or not just of the clients, or not just of the business. Because people can get siloed of thinking about just certain aspects of it. So we need people to think first on a bigger level of how they're impacting each other and the people around them. And secondly, how do we actually deliver what we're there to deliver?
A question that I started asking my employees, my team members, is, describe to me how your job is helping the company make money. And I think this is back to the bigger purpose, right? What's the bigger picture? That's pretty straightforward for functions like sales, right? That's probably the most straightforward, or like products, manufacturing. It starts to be a bit more blurry when it comes to HR, finance, audio editor. And I think having your team members very well aware of where they sit in the bigger picture helps them understand how one change could, help everybody in the company, because they are here to serve a bigger purpose. So a bit deconstructed. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I totally agree with that, about really helping them understand it. It's interesting how you ask that question can be effective or ineffective depending on how big of a group and how experienced the group it is.
For sure.
Because if you ask the question the way you presented it to me, and I'm sure you frame it differently for different team members, if you ask that question to somebody who's a newcomer in a large organization, they're going to feel unsupported and panicked, and as if you're testing them, not as if you're bringing them into the fold. Versus a senior person that kind of knows and is going, oh, I get what's going on here.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we found helpful with setting that up is actually involving people in painting the big picture and painting themselves into it. So there are people in the room that understand the picture that can help give that bigger context, but also the people in the room can now paint themselves into it and have their part and feel their ownership in it. Once people see that, now you can ask that question of, and it's not so much how do you see yourself doing it, but how do we need to change how we do things to support that bigger picture? How do I need to change what I do, and how do we need to change as a group of how we interact and make decisions and communicate change, things like that? Because as soon as you have the big picture and it's a new picture, you can say, what are those? And now I'll go back to the culture, but what are the habits, the new way we execute that we have to do differently that we didn't do before to be successful? And they can answer that question because they know what they need from others, and they know what then others will start to pick up, and they'll learn, okay, oh, well, let's put this together. Great. Yeah, let's do this differently. Well, we have never done it that way before. Yeah, it's a new picture. And so it's safe to talk about that because everybody was involved in creating the new picture together. So it gives them two things I think you need to make this work. One is you need the safety for them to be able to express that, but you need the accountability for them to say, and here's what I need to do to help that out.
I like that a lot. Who do you help specifically, Dave? Like, is there a specific industry, a specific company size, a specific, you name it? Like, who is it that you're getting the best results for and that you're trying to get into the room with?
Well, I'd say traditionally, what I've done is medium and large size companies. So when I say medium, if you think of headcount, it's kind of 200 to 3,500 people, and large would be 3,500 people to tens of thousands of people.
Not bad.
But when you talk about that, we're never dealing with that many people at once. We're always dealing with a section of it. Now, it could be a top leadership team, middle, a certain function. But wherever we deal, we're dealing with the dynamics of the whole organization and getting people to think that way, think differently. Now, have we done it with smaller groups? Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely. But it's a different dynamic if you're a startup or a small starting entrepreneur. You don't deal with the systems we deal with, essentially, of groups of people. That's where everybody's got to be on board, playing multiple roles, having multiple hats, communicating, and pivoting very quickly. So does that help?
No, it does 100%. The thing is, so the reason I'm always asking this question is, as a B2B coach, consultants, you need a few things in order to get your business to grow, right? You need authority, you need trust, you need to be perceived as a subject matter expert, you need to have visibility, you need to build relationships, and the last piece of the puzzle is you need to have the right conversations with the right people at the right time. When I hear who you're targeting and who you're helping, I can't help but think those are completely different avatars, right? When you're talking to a company of 200 employees, the person that you're going to help, like the end user of the service, is not going to be the one who makes the decision necessarily. When you look at bigger companies, you might have multiple stakeholders, multiple people you need to get the buy-in from. And then the person that you're helping is again someone different. And the person you're reporting to is potentially even someone different again. So where I'm going with all this, how do you, Dave, market, brand, and make your business visible so that you get seen by the right people, all while showcasing the value that the end user is going to get?
Okay, there are a lot of pieces in that little question.
Sorry, that was a very long-winded question.
No, but it's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. I think one of the things, we've tried a lot of things to do this over many years. And one of the first things we found is typical marketing doesn't work if you're invisible to them. So, part of it is getting the visibility and the expertise, and like you talk about. So we spend a lot of time trying to do marketing just to get those people and then got very little. Well, that's because we were invisible. So the first thing is finding out how to be more visible. And I think in the realm of things, what we did is we did, specific outreach to people we thought were our clients. and started by building a relationship, not selling a product. And that actually set us apart as different from most people out there, because most people will try and pitch you, and it's like going on a date and asking for a kiss when you don't even know the person's name.
Bold move, high risk, high reward, though.
But yeah, okay, bold move. You can do that, but as a walk into a bar, grab somebody's hand, and say, "Let's go." But but
I love the analogy.
But the thing is, it's amazing, and it shocks me even today, because I take some time each week just to do outreach on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And simply by not having an agenda other than to find out about the person, that sets you apart as different. And so through relationships, we start building that, and then we build out. Then we did things. We wrote books. We got people together and actually showed our expertise. How did we show them? We showed them simply by being who we were and actually delivering value. A lot of times we'll bring people into a one-to-many thing, like I or my partner will be on there running a conversation about something, and we'll be diagnosing something the way we would as if they were our clients. We will be adding value right away. And that sets the bar of, oh, we are experts in what we do because we're showing it right there. So we start small, start to build, and now we've got a following. And now we can leverage that through, through some more advertising or outreach. We've got the things like books and stuff that show our credibility. We're starting to make the connections. We're nurturing it with things like value and newsletters and things like that. So all those little things help. But it's really just, it's almost all the time this initial human reaction or interaction that shows us differently. And all of a sudden, okay, boy, this is a relief. This is a breath of fresh air. I'll talk to the person. And now the second thing is when we talk, and this is a hard thing for people. It's a hard thing for me. I stay focused on them. When they come to me and say, tell me more about what you do, I actually don't bite on that. I don't take the lure, like, oh, good. They want to, let me tell me all the things about what I can do for you. It's like, no, I'm kind of boring. I'm curious more about where you're going, what you're doing, and what problems you're running up against. And it's amazing how people will tell you that if you'll listen. And now I can come back sensibly and say, okay, when you try, what did you try and how did it work? And now I can add value right there. I'm not even asking them to be a client. I'm just adding value. And we start to get the momentum going. Once you've got momentum, now we can do the bigger things. Now we can be more visible.
So I like this a lot because I like the philosophy and the mission. Let's get tactical though, Dave. What have you done in terms of marketing that helped you execute on this philosophy? What marketing channel are you using that is actually getting you in front of the right people with the right message?
Well, I think we do it multiple ways. One of our favorite things as we've gotten more pull is going out to our network and inviting people into a one-to-many type situation, which I talked about. So we're doing like they call them master classes nowadays. I don't like the term anymore because all it means is a master way to sell. But basically, you get the idea. It's like we're not there pitching. We're there creating a forum of actual leaders. And that's who we want in the room that have questions and issues that they can learn from each other and from us, unique ways that those have actually been addressed. So that's one way we do it, is we drive people into those. And we actually go to old clients. We actually use, because of we're more bigger business and LinkedIn is more our social channel, we'll use that to draw people in. We have some automation to do that. And then we've got some people to do it that just reach out in the way I'm saying to make the connection. And then if we get the connection, well, here's the thing. It's in using social media, if you use like LinkedIn and you can get a connection rate of 50, 60%, and then get a call rate high, then it's worth setting somebody aside to do that, to get people into these things. And if you do an approach like that, then that's worthwhile to us. Our books, we actually, and then we do some SEO. So surprising to me, people organically find us as the leader in the business. Now, if you're new, that might be harder to do. We've been doing this for like 35 years. So just the fact we've been doing it that long gets people to go, oh, I'll look at them. And then I think when you talk about real results and have real stories about the results, people kind of look at it, but they don't quite believe it until they interact and they see that you can customize what you're doing by listening to them and really addressing things and really presenting something they never thought of before, that they just know in their heart can work. The company, I just recently branded under my own company called Pure Genius. And I don't I picked that term not because I'm a pure genius. That's not it at all. I just have access to systems and approaches and people that I feel those approaches are pure genius. And so I can recognize that. They can recognize when they hear it. They go, oh, not only have I not thought about that, that could work. And that's the spark. So it's like, how much do you need? Depends on how big you're going to scale. Now, we've never scaled all that big because we're more of a mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about how do you get just enough to do this? If you want to scale big, it's not going to be just through what I can do with my hours trading dollars for hours.
Mm-hmm.
Scaling big means you have to have something scalable where it's not my body running the engine of the thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like this a lot. There are multiple things I want to double down on. For the sake of time, I'm not going to double down on all of them, but a few things that I think are important, especially for B2B coaches and consultants listening to us right now. So I liked what you said around being present in multiple places, SEO, LinkedIn. I think I'm a huge fan of, especially when talking to B2B coaches and consultants, being like one channel, one avatar, one offer. Well, obviously consulting is always a bit more complex than that, but like extreme focus so that you can keep on iterating and improving that very one channel. Now, the caveat I put for B2B coaches and consultants is you want to have those multiple touch points. It's not like people are going to see an ad, click on it, book a call, purchase a 10K thing. We're talking about 6 figures, 7 figures, multi-year projects. It takes multiple touch points. And that's why being present on multiple platforms where you can stay top of mind and appear when people are searching for stuff that are the type of stuff you're helping with is key. For you, it's SEO and LinkedIn. For others, it's going to be speaking engagements, podcasts. For others, it doesn't matter as long as you have that one main channel and then a few other places on the internet where people can find you and where you can stay top of mind. The other thing that you touched upon that I want to discuss, because we recently found out about that actually, and we were very surprised. The fact that you can have some, pardon my French, let's call it French privilege, kick-ass testimonial and case studies, to the point that sometimes people will not believe them. Although you have like the client in front of a camera explaining like the type of results you have them got. So it has to be credible, but also realistic. Like, hey, yes, we got crazy results, but here are the ones that I'm pushing forward, which are reasonable results. But then you need to start that conversation. You need to talk to them. And that's back to what you were saying. Until you have like a personalized touch, an actual conversation, you can showcase the best results in the world. People are not necessarily going to take action on it. Although it's real and although you've done that, people doubt. And we live in a very low trust society right now. So somehow I get it. Talk to me about how you go from that, Dave. So SEO, website, LinkedIn. By the way, one of the other things you mentioned is that you've been doing this for 35 years. Things take time, but things compound. And sometimes you just need to wait for things to get results. Closing the parenthesis. How do you move from that? From problem awareness, solution awareness, they found you, then you get them into a conversation, and an SOW, a letter of engagement. Like, how does sales motion look like for you and your company?
It's funny. It's a long process and it's short. Okay?
Please tell me more.
The long part is sometimes getting into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to keep. I love what you said is focus on one thing.
Yeah.
Because I think, I love the acronym they do, for focus. Like, what is it? Focus.
I cannot help you, Dave. I'm sorry. What's the acronym?
What is it called? But it's really what you said. It's focus on one thing until successful.
Focus acronym. Let's see. Can I find it easily on the internet? What is the acronym of focus?
Follow
one course until successful.
Follow one course until successful. It's
I like
exactly
that.
what you're saying. I think when you're starting, that is the key. Because what most people do is they have their vision of what they want to do. And then the course they pick, the strategy they pick, they think it's gonna come about just by that one strategy. And in reality, it takes like 5 to 7 adaptations of a single strategy to make it actually work. So to stay on that one focus and be successful sets the whole foundation. Now you can start to, spread out and do other options of it. So I think you nailed it on that one. And now I lost what your question was.
The question was sales motion.
Yeah. So once we get in front of someone, it's usually, this is the funny thing. It's like we'll close on 60% of initial conversations we have into a deal, if you would. Because when we show up at that initial conversation, we are genuinely doing our work right then. That's where all the consultation happens, actually. That's where most of the strategy is. And if we can show up and, again, if you've got 35 years of experience, you can be much more relaxed because you've seen many more things happen. And, it's like if you see an edge of an apple, the rest of it's an apple because you've seen it so often. But even if you haven't, if you can listen, and if you can be present, and if you can really ask questions that help the client think their problem through, even help them think of what their real outcome is, they get instant value and they see you as different and they want to continue the conversation to the point they'll say, well, what could you do for us? Well, now you've got all the context and you can lay it out. And pretty much if it fits what they can handle, they will go for it because you've built the credibility right in the conversation without even talking about your product or your service. And that's what we do. And so it's, now, do we win everything? No. Sometimes there's somebody else comes with, what's really funny is sometimes we say, okay, well, you pick this other group that's good, but watch for this. If this starts occurring and you get into this situation, then you might come back and talk to us, because and it's funny. Sometimes they have come back, we spent all the money. Some of our best clients for us are people that have tried other systems and have worked because they're educated now. They know what doesn't work and they know what they want to steer away from, and they can recognize this is on track for them. We're not on track for everybody. I think that's another thing that if we go in to a conversation and we're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing us to see if there's a match, they get that. They get that we're not out there. We're looking to see, is this a good match? Can we really help you? By the way, one of my more recent conversations, I said, I'm still not sure you're a good client for us.
Bold move. Almost as bold as coming into the bar, grabbing the hand and saying, let's go.
Yeah, it's like, it's that kind of boldness. It's like, look, this isn't just you checking me out. I'm checking you because we have to have a match here. And it's having that security inside yourself that this client isn't your life. That it's better to get one that's a match for you and forego this one than to take this one and have something less than for both of you. And people feel that they like the transparency, they like the confidence, but they also like the caring that goes into it.
Amen to that. I'm just gonna, so one of the other things that you mentioned here that I want to double down on, you're making my job very complicated, but I like it because that's the whole point of this kind of episodes. You mentioned when you start back on the focus point. I would say not necessarily only when you start, in the sense of, for many, many years, a typical B2B coach or consultant will grow their business or grow steadily just based on referrals. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they're new. It's not that they are starting. It's just that they have been in business for a while and they've only been relying on referrals, which I have like a separate thought for that, but we're talking about focus. I would say this is also the right time to look at a marketing channel that will allow you to get the most exposure. But then when you're thinking about that, think about something that would be the highest leverage on your time. This is what we are after as consultants. And also allow you to be present on all the platforms to have those multiple touch points. Just a small thing that I wanted to mention. Back to your sales process. I mean, the more I speak.
By the way, you're making my job easier because you're answering part of the question. I love that. I just say, yeah, that's true. And I, just to be clear, mm-hmm. I'm not a social platform expert in the business I do. So I'm glad you hit it because that's part of what you do.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. The only other thing I wanted to double down on again, because I think that's so valuable. So I've been a consultant myself at PwC, but the more I talk to consultants and B2B coaches, I'm like, the sooner you can start co-create in the sales process, the higher the likelihood of closing. And given your close rates, Dave, I want you in my sales team, but we're going to discuss this off air. I think when you're able to start showing the value to the clients without, having scope creep and doing all the work for free, right. But like co-build, start addressing the roadmap, giving them small things they can act on to get some like benefits and quick wins. This is where you secure the deal because you're proving the value firsthand. What's your retention technique, Dave? The reason I'm asking this is when it comes to change and culture change, this is usually like, this takes time, but once it's done, right? How do you farm? How do you retain clients? Throughout the 35 years that you've been in business, how do you do that?
Okay, I can't let my wife hear this.
Just whisper it. That's fine.
This is very similar to how we actually got together and stayed together.
Did you walk into the bar, grabbed her hand, and
no? Actually, I think, and I'll explain that in a minute. A little bit of a teaser there, but I think what we do is number one, we're very clear on the business outcomes they're trying to achieve and the challenges they have in achieving them. And we are absolutely dedicated to the outcomes, not the process. And we're looking at outcomes in a time frame. And so that's between, during our time with them, we want certain outcomes and we want them to define it. Now, what's interesting is they will forget the outcomes, but we document them. So there's very little we do where we don't follow up and come back around and reassess where are we based on those outcomes. And the reason I say that's so important is is people move so quickly, they don't actually stop, acknowledge their success, and then reset a new goal. They just keep moving and they lose track of all that. We help them do that so they get something that they never get with other things, not just the numbers, but they get the acknowledgement, they get the people excited about it, they get to go to a next level. When they get to that point of the next level, that sometimes is a key to our continued business, because now they're going to a level that we guided them from here to here, but with a process that helped them get there that's specific to them. But now they want to go here and they go, we want to keep you along on the journey. How would we structure that? And we're willing to structure it differently, because in the second stage, it's a different project. It's not the same one over again, but it may be like CEO advisor is a part of that, but we don't always start at CEO advisor. But it may be we get to be the coach of the CEO because of what we did before. It may be that now we're helping coach individual leaders or bring new programs in. It may be we work with a part of the organization. This other part, it's now like, have people noticed you? Do you think that part would be interested in our services? So we add new value, not the same value, is the way we keep it going. And then this is where it comes to my wife. It's like we actually set them up in each stage to not be attached to us. In other words, we want to empower them with the systems that they can grow themselves without us. And that gives them the freedom to come back and say, yeah, but we still want you. It's not like we're locked in with you. It's like, no, we want you to be independent. Yes, we want to work with people that want to set us up that way. And actually, when I got together with my wife, the key to it was I let her go. She had other things she wanted to do and other people she wanted to do them with. And it's like, okay, well, smartest thing I ever did. 4.5 years later, we bumped into each other and we're still thinking about each other. I wasn't actually, I thought she was gone, but she was open to it. And it's like the willingness to let people do and go and be who they are and acknowledge that people like you like that. And it really can set it up. So there's a lot of things we do with that to keep it going. But one of them is make sure that we're focused on the outcomes and that they get them. The second one I didn't mention is if we ever don't get the outcomes, we tell them we're in the game until you get them. We don't charge you more money for that. Now, would that create a pretty tight client? See, now we're not going to waste a lot of time doing it. It's like if we didn't get there, part of it's you didn't do some of this stuff. So you're going to have to step up. This is going to be short time frame. We're going to get there, but we'll get you there. And then that rolls off other projects and things from that. And then the third is we're setting them up to be independent, to be able to work without us. And that's what they want. They don't want to be dependent on a consultant having to pay money for that. But then they tell their friends, these people are the real deal, and they're not going to just be in it for the money. And again, that gives us a different kind of referral.
That was a very long sales cycle, Dave, for your wife, I mean, but definitely paid off.
For me too, but a quality result.
Exactly. So it did pay off. So, I mean, I know you hate them, but this is a masterclass, Dave. Because again, one of the things that I love about your retention technique is documenting the milestones. It is so simple, but it's not easy. Because people are, yeah, sure, we will document the milestones, right? But having that documented at scale properly with each client, like recording the calls, having their feedback, putting them in the repository that you can later leverage as testimonials, by the way, and being able to present that back to the client at the end of the first scope to be like, what do we do next? Gold to retain clients.
You know, how we do it? It's in the work we do it, but how we do it is it's just in the first part of the simple contract we give them. Here are the results that you want for your organization. We don't necessarily guarantee them certain ways, but they're there. So they're easy to pull back up.
I love that. You've been flying in this interview, Dave. So let me throw a little curveball at you. What's your challenge right now in your business? What's the one thing that, you still need to crack the nut of and that will take your business to the next level, if that's something you want? What is that one thing? What's that one challenge?
Well, it's a challenge that I wish we would have known what we know now back when we started. And it's at this point, because you've heard we've been in this for a long time, and I had jobs before this. So it's how do we exit this? Or what do we do with the exit? Who do we hand this work off to carry it on? Or do we just kind of gracefully exit and have it gracefully go away? That's the challenge right now. And it's if you're doing a business, and what I've learned from my connections I have now is the time you think of an exit is really at the beginning, because then you have a lot of time to work with it. And that's the biggest challenge is we didn't really think that way. We're always being very present and very focused, but if you're really going to run a business, the question is, where is that business going to go to eventually? And if it's your lifetime business, when your lifetime gets where you don't want to be doing it, what's your plan?
Yeah.
So honestly, that's the challenge we're in now.
An exit is not too bad of a challenge to be facing.
Yeah.
Dave, this was an absolute masterclass, and I had quite some fun. So thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders. If people want to find out more about you, see what you do, buy your business, where should they go?
Well, I think one easy place is to go to daverodgersmedia.com. And that's DAVE, Rodgers as an RODGERS, media.com.
We'll put the link in the description. I can say one thing for sure is that you got at least one new connection on LinkedIn out of this interview. Me.
Right.
I just added you. Dave, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.
How was that, Dave?
It was fun. Thank you. I haven't done a podcast forever.